We're going over the 5 best Spider-Man comics to collect in today's video, and I'm going to be bringing the fire. You're going to want to stick around to the very end, not want to miss a thing. Honorable mention, Spider-Man, number 361. This is the first appearance of Carnage. This book came out in 1992, and the reason it's my honorable mention is because as a 90s kid, Carnage is one of the best Spider-Man villains in my opinion, and also because this book is super affordable. I think this is actually the best budget Spidey buy right now as far as keys go, because you can find this book in a 9.4, which is like a near mint, and you can get it for like $100, so fantastic buy. This book I think is great because of the cover, and because obviously it is a big first appearance key for a Spider-Man villain. So Carnage right on the cover makes this even better. Mine copy is in a CGC 9.8, and it is a newsstand copy. And the place I bought this from was actually at a Comic-Con. I bought it for $450. This book has since dropped. I saw it recently on a live sale for $350 for that. So unfortunately, this book has dropped a bit since I purchased it. But good news is those aren't losses until you sell and you realize those losses. The other thing that I think that hurt this book recently is just because of the 9.9 pre-screen that has come out with CGC. 9.8s might not be as desirable in the marketplace, especially because with 9.9s, they're going to be going up. There are going to be a lot more of them on the census, a lot more count in existence. So that's going to devalue the 9.8s out there. I don't think this book has a shot at a 9.9 because it actually is a small little spine tick. I don't know if camera's going to pick that up. But yeah, small little spine tick right there that breaks color. So yeah, 9.8s can't have spine ticks. But this was actually the very first 9.8 that I purchased. So yeah, very cool book. I really like it a lot. The reason it's not in the top 5 and just an honorable mention is because there are a lot of copies of this book being in, a copper/modern age book. And the other reason is that Carnage isn't as big of a villain as some of the other books that I'm going to be showing for my top 5. But still, great buy, and I think, again, best budget book as far as key appearance to buy in the Spider-Man run. Now, number 5 is a Bronze Age key from 1974, and it's a big first appearance, and that's Amazing Spider-Man number 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. This is not only a fantastic book just because it is a key first appearance of the Punisher, which who doesn't love him, but also because of the cover. Gil Kane and John Romita provided the work on this cover, and man, is it gorgeous. So you have both Punisher and Spider-Man on the front, and I don't know that it gets much better as far as Spider-Man covers than this, especially in the Bronze Age. This copy is an 8.5 CGC, off-white to white, with the custom label up top. This book I actually purchased on Instagram. If you haven't checked it out already, check out the video up here where I talk about the best places that I like to buy my graded comic books. Instagram is one of them. And I picked up this book for $1,900 all in, which is one of the great reasons buying on Instagram. You don't have the shipping and taxes and fees a lot of the time, so really like that. But the other reason I bought this book is because I love the wrap on this book, and the color strike is great. The reds are really deep. I like the yellows, very bright. And if you see the wrap, it's just fantastic wrap there on the spine. Because a lot of times with these Bronze Age books, that's a big difference maker with some of these books. Just like with the Amazing Spider-Man 361, that book, the wrap is great on as well. The orange on that book doesn't wrap around to the front. Just like with this copy, the yellow doesn't wrap around to the back. So definitely really check out the wraps on your books, especially in the older or the newer books, because that can definitely affect value. But yes, Amazing Spider-Man number 129, man, what a cover and what a first appearance key. That's why it comes in at number 5. Now, the number 4 pick is actually the very first Spider-Man copy I went after for my collection, and that's Amazing Spider-Man number 300, the first appearance of Venom. And the reason I went after this book first is because I was born in 1988, a month after this book came out, and this book just screams my childhood, because growing up, Venom was the biggest Spider-Man villain, loved him so much, and also this book I would see all the time as a kid, so it just reminds me of my childhood, very nostalgic. This book is in a CGC 9.4 white pages. This is fantastic Todd McFarlane cover art. For those of you who don't know Todd McFarlane, he's one of the most popular, in my mind, and best Spider-Man cover artists. It's also in a newsstand edition. Newsstand, I always collect if there's a newsstand versus direct edition. Newsstands were actually out, on like newsstand racks, whereas the direct editions were sent directly to comic stores. So the newsstands in general are harder to find in higher grades like this 9.4. But this thing has everything going for it. It's got an amazing cover, black suit Spidey, Todd McFarlane, first appearance of Venom, who is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Spider-Man villain, especially for us 80s kids. And that, for all those reasons, that's why it's number 4 on my pick. I paid $930 for this book on eBay, got it on eBay. Prices on this fluctuate wildly, especially if you don't get the white pages. You can get this book for like $600 if you don't care about the page quality. In the white pages, this book is going around $800 right now. So good to know that page quality can definitely impact price. Also that these books can fluctuate up and down. So even though I have lost a little bit of money on this book, I'm not selling it. So yeah, didn't actually realize any of those losses. So just love this book though, and I'm going to be holding on to it for a very long time. Now we're getting to number 3. The reason we have those books before us, the 4, 5, and the honorable mention, is because those are going to be bronze and modern keys. So there are going to be a lot more copies of those. From here on out, we're getting into the silver age, which means they're a lot rarer, which is why they're ranked a lot higher on our list. And number 3 is actually issue number 3 for the Amazing Spider-Man run. Coincidence? And that is the first appearance of Doc Ock, Dr. Octavius. And man, is this a fantastic book to own. Not only is it a great cover, you got Doc Ock right here on the cover, grabbing Spider-Man with his tentacles, but also this book is very hard to find in a high grade like this, or a mid, a 6.0 grade, which for this book is a higher grade, because it is Silver Age, so much harder to find than the books that came before it. It's at a CGC 6.0, off-white to white. And this is just such a massive book. Most people would say Doc Ock is arguably, him and the Green Goblin are the 2 biggest Spider-Man villains out there. That's why, in my opinion, in the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, you had, both Green Goblin and Doc Ock in Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, because those are the biggest Spider-Man villains out there. So yeah, fantastic book. I bought this at a Comic-Con. I paid $6,000 for it. This book is corrected quite a bit. So this has gone down to, like, last sale I think was $37.50. So I've in theory lost quite a bit of money on this. This is a book I should have been more patient on. I rushed purchasing it because I obviously could have gotten it for a lot cheaper. I outline a lot of the mistakes I've made comic collecting in this video up here, so if you want to check it out. But even though it was a mistake paying that much for this book, I overpaid, I still love having this book in the collection, and I won't lose any money because I'm not selling it anytime soon. But yeah, gotta love Spider-Man, gotta love Doc Ock, and our first Silver Age book on the list. Gotta love it. Now, number 2 on our list is the other arguable greatest Spider-Man villain of all time, and that's Amazing Spider-Man number 14, the first appearance of the Green Goblin. So in my opinion, Green Goblin is the greatest super villain of all time for Spider-Man. I think Doc Ock is just a notch below, which is why he comes in at number 3 on the list, and Green Goblin is number 2, but still, yeah, both great villains. In both books, this one and The Amazing Spider-Man 3, they're both going to be Stan Lee stories, which can't get any better than Stan Lee as far as comics go. And both are actually going to be Steve Ditko covers. So Steve Ditko, first, artist for Spider-Man. Stan Lee obviously created the character. The 2 of them teaming up on a book, I don't think you can get better than that. And this book is actually in a CGC 6.0 off-white to white pages. And it is, again, a rarer book to find since it's in the Silver Age and higher grade. I bought this on Comic Connect for $37.75 all in. This book, kind of like the ASM 300, is a little bit all over the place based on page quality. If you don't care about page quality, you can get this book for around $2,500 right now. But if you do care about off-white to white or white pages, this book is going for like $3,200 to $3,800. Most recent sale was actually $4,300, but I think that's an outlier. But yeah, so this book Kind of where I bought it, around there. Not, not a big loss, not a big gain. I feel like it's, 30-day or 90-day average is 3,200, so I'm right there. So, but yeah, this is a fantastic book. Also, a little bit of history about Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. Even though the two of them, Stan Lee created the character, Steve Ditko drew him, the two of them were at odds as far as getting credit for creating Spider-Man. Steve Ditko was so upset that he actually ended up quitting Marvel and stopped being an artist for Spider-Man, which is why we get John Romita. So, a little fun fact there. But yeah, love seeing Green Goblin in the Spider-Man universe or in the Marvel universe, played by William Dafoe. Recently, I saw an interview with him, and I always thought his name was pronounced Willem, but he clarified it is actually William. What a classic portrayal. So that's actually the reason I fell in love with Green Goblin, was seeing those movies when I was growing up, and just loved that character, loved William's portrayal, and just, yeah, classic Spider-Man villain. And again, amazing book. That's why it's number 2. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure to subscribe down below so you're notified of upcoming content like the virtual comic convention haul that I'll be posting soon. Also, so that you're eligible for giveaways that are happening soon when we hit 1,000 subscribers. And please leave in the comments below, what do you think are the top 10 best Spider-Man comics to collect? Maybe it's Amazing Spider-Man number 43, the first full appearance of Mary Jane Watson. She's only got like 1,000 cameo appearances, so technically, yeah, first full appearance, right? But leave me the comments down below. What is your top 10? The best comment, best list, I'm actually going to shout out in an upcoming video, so be sure to comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get on to number 1. Now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's got to be this book, right? It's got to be Amazing Fantasy number 15. That's got to be number 1, right? Well, you bet it is. And man, do I absolutely love this book. This is one of my favorites in my entire collection. This is the very first appearance of Spider-Man. You got Aunt May, Uncle Ben. With great power comes great responsibility. Stan Lee, Steve Ditko goodness. I mean, look at this cover. It's been homaged so many times. It's just phenomenal all the way around. The only thing that would make it better if it was Amazing Spider-Man number 1, right? But Stan Lee, he went to his boss with the idea of Spider-Man, and the boss didn't like it, so he actually had to stick it in a different title, the Amazing Fantasy title. But, who cares? It's the first Spider-Man. This is just a phenomenal book. This is in a CGC 7.0 off-white to white pages. It is restored, which I do not care about at all because this book would be so expensive in this grade. The last 7.0 went for $126,000. I paid like a fourth of that because it's restored. But yeah, let me show you the restoration on the book. It's basically some color touch and some tear seal, stuff like that. The color touch, from what I can tell, is actually in this top corner up here. I don't know if the camera can catch it, but like right up here is where I think the color touch comes in. I don't know if it can be removed. That's something maybe down the line I'll look at, but I never get tired of looking at this book. The other reason I went after this specific copy is not only do I like my Silver Age books to be 6.0 or better with off-white to white pages or better, I saw that this book actually has a date written on it. And it's actually, I don't know if the camera can pick it up because it looks like someone tried to remove the date that was written in pen. But that date right there is 6/14. Guess what date that is? That's somebody's birthday. Believe it or not, 6/14 is actually my birthday. It's also Flag Day, so make sure to celebrate that national holiday. But I mean, seriously, someone wrote my birthday on this book? It was meant to be. It was fate. So yeah, this is going to the grave with me. I just absolutely super excited. Just love this book to death. I don't think you get any better than the first appearance of Spider-Man when it comes to the top 5 Spider-Man comics to collect. Maybe you think that there's a better one that should be number 1. I would love to hear it down in the comments below if you think so. But this is the one that started it all. To me, Marvel Comics is defined by Spider-Man. He's by far not only the best Marvel superhero, he's the world's most favorite superhero, period. I think the new Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, as well as the old Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. Let's forget about the Spider-Mans in the middle there. But I just think that they're fantastic movies and fantastic character. Peter Parker, obviously, marked a shift in superheroes away from like adults, right, that were not as relatable to kids, to teenagers, right, with real world problems that you could identify with. And man, yeah, this is the book to me that revolutionized comic books. So yeah, Amazing Fantasy number 15 is my number one pick. Make sure to watch this video next.